What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the novice knows out here in these fragrance streets. You know, fragrances can be quite situational. I mean, we've got date night fragrances, we've got fragrances for running errands, we've got fragrances for going to the gym. There's winter, spring, summer fragrances. We even got fragrances for those intimate moments. And when I say intimate, I'm talking about going to the office, right? So there are fragrances that are being lauded as perfect office scents. One fragrance in particular was made for that. As a matter of fact, they took the whole concept and integrated it into its name. That's Office for Men from Fragrance One. That's Jeremy Fragrance's old fragrance there. The only issue with that is that you have to have a penthouse office to be able to afford Office for Men here. It's got a pretty high price point. Well, Fragrance World to the rescue on this particular fragrance DNA. They've actually got an offering that comes very close to getting into that wheelhouse. But how close is it? Is it any good? Celestia Blu is what it's called, and we're going to dive into this a little bit because I've spent a lot of time with this fragrance, as you can tell by the juice. So guys, you know the drill. Go ahead and pull up, and stay tuned. So again, the fragrance that we're talking about today is Celestia Blu from Fragrance World. Now, this fragrance is inspired by Fragrance One's Office for Men. If you're familiar with Jeremy Fragrance, his fragrance Office for Men that came out a few years back here. Now, let me give you a good little close-up here of the bottle. I actually like this bottle style. It's a cheap cap and everything, but I do like the kind of metal collar that's around it here. It gives almost like a futuristic old Jetsons neck collar type vibe to it here when you fill the bottle. And let me give it a little bit of a spray here from the atomizer. Not the best atomizer in the world, but it does give good coverage here when you spray it. Now again, this fragrance is inspired by Fragrance One's Office for Men. And let me get you a little bit of a note breakdown here for this fragrance. Now, the note breakdown kind of mirrors what you're getting here in Office for Men. So at the top here, you're getting ambroxan and bergamot. Mid notes are woody notes and floral notes, along with ambergris, amber, and jasmine. And then in your base notes, you're getting woody notes, musk, and patchouli. So again, mirrors the exact note breakdown, almost at least, of Office for Men. And the fragrance itself is a very, very close interpretation of that fragrance. Now, when you first spray on Celestia Blu, you are getting a blast of ambroxan and bergamot. I mean, it hits you in the face pretty hard. It is, but it's kind of like the OG. And by the way, I do have the OG Office here on this arm, and then I have, just sprayed Celestia Blu on this arm here. But you get this blast of almost a sweetened bergamot and ambroxan. And ambroxan has a nice little fresh kick to it. So the fragrance just opens up uber fresh from the top. Now, the difference between what you get in Celestia Blu and what you get in the Office for Men at the top is the Office for Men, while it is a bright bergamot as well, and you're getting that same ambroxan blast, it does come across a little bit more earthy, and in a way, it seems like the chemicals that they're using here are just a little bit better quality. But this isn't coming across as super cheap and synthetic. The original just has, like I said, it just gives a little bit more of a quality vibe. Now, we're talking almost $300-400 a bottle, so I would hope that it would have higher quality chemicals than it would in this fragrance, which is only about $25 to $30. But in both fragrances, though, you're getting a fresh ambroxan and bergamot push. It's really nice. It gives like a nice little refreshing, invigorating pop to it when you spray the fragrance on. Now, as the fragrance dries down, as the Celestia Blu dries down, you start to kind of pick up a definite amber nuance to it. That amber comes up and it starts to kind of envelop that freshness from that ambroxan. So what you're getting is this fresh resinous type of vibe here. It's not a super strong amber, so it just kind of gives it a little bit of filler in the middle. It gives it some beef in the middle there to kind of fill up the mids of that fragrance and allow the freshness to just kind of permeate throughout the life of the fragrance as it goes forward. Now, along with that freshness from the ambroxan that is still pumping, by the way, into the mids, you start picking up a little bit of the woodsy nuance here and a little bit of those florals that start popping in, but you're mostly getting what feels like a cedar type of vibe. It's kind of like a synthetic vibe of cedar there, so it's not like an uberly sharp cedar, but it is there. It adds a little bit of a earthiness to the vibe in the middle of the fragrance here, and again, that amber is just kind of tying everything in at this point. So all of those notes, that woody nuance along with the freshness there, is just tied up and blended so perfectly in the middle to kind of have everything singing in unison, and it's just giving off this fresh, nice, woody style of fragrance. Now, one of the things I really do like about this fragrance is that aside from that opening where you're getting a little bit of a sweet citrusy style of vibe here, which to be honest, it is a little bit sweeter than it is in Office for Men. It does have, the opening is a little bit more sweet citrus than it is in the OG. But aside from that, as that kind of dissipates a little bit, the fragrance kind of goes linear after that. And to be honest, sometimes that could be a good thing. I mean, you have a little bit of the musk and patchouli that kind of enter into the fray here around the same time, actually, that some of your other woody and floral components start to come in. But aside from those little nuanced, pieces of fragrance notes that get enveloped by that amber, by the way, because the amber is the main player towards the mids and to the dry down here. Now, that amber just ties everything together. Aside from that, the fragrance is basically linear the whole way out. So after that opening, once you start getting the contribution to the amber, and once it allows those florals and that freshness from the bergamot, from the ambroxan and everything to kind of get tied in, and you get a little bit of the muskiness that gets tied into that amber, everything just kind of sits into that amber cask and just kind of flows the rest of the way through. So what you're getting around that 30 minutes to an hour mark of the fragrance is what you're getting for the remainder of the life of the fragrance. Now, that also happens in the OG Office for Men, which brings me to the point of utility. Sometimes it's okay to have a linear fragrance, and specifically for different types of scenarios and different types of situations. This is basically marketed, at least the original was basically marketed as an office fragrance. And when you're in the office, you kind of want something that's going to be fresh. It's going to be pretty linear. It's not going to have all these variations of different notes or whatever. You're going to basically kind of get what you spray on, and that's going to last throughout the day. And that's perfect for office wear. This, no exception to that, and it actually falls right in line with the fragrance that it's inspired by. This is a great fragrance for office wear because it actually sticks to its linear nature here. Like I said, once you get past that 30-minute mark, all of the fragrance notes are kind of integrated at that point. So you're getting a very fresh, very woodsy style of fragrance here that actually has a little bit of a resinous nature to it. Makes it perfect for being in an office environment. Now, I mentioned fragrances lasting the whole day and how that's perfect for office settings. This one actually lasted a good long while on me. On my skin, I got somewhere in that 8-hour mark. But on my clothes, this thing lasted throughout the entire day at work, and it actually lasted until I was able to wash it off, until I washed my clothes. This fragrance actually has a little bit of sticking power to it. Now, projection wise, it's a very, very decent projector. I mean, I'm looking somewhere at about arm's length here for the first hour to 2 hours here, and then slowly starts to kind of come down into that foot to 2 foot mark and almost to a skin scent. Doesn't get into that skin scent until right around, for me at least, right around hour 4, 5, somewhere in that range. However, even though it's not projecting and booming off of your skin into that 5-6 hour range, you're still being smelled, because one of the things about this fragrance, and it's got to be the ambroxan, is giving you a very nice sillage. When you walk around, it's gonna have a scent trail behind you when you're wearing this. Overall, I think this is actually a great little fragrance here. I mean, there are subtle differences between this one and the OG. Like I said, this one does open up a little bit sweeter. The OG does have a higher quality oil. They're using higher quality oils than they are in here. This isn't like super cheap quality oils though. These are actually really nice. They last on your skin for a long time, and it's not super overly synthetic. Well, the fragrance Office is kind of synthetic. This is about as synthetic as the original is. So there's no real delineation between this being overly synthetic compared to the original. But aside from the subtle differences, once they get into that 30-minute to an hour mark, very hard to tell the two apart. They perform on a similar clip as well. I think this is actually a really good investment, especially for the $25-30 you'll pay for this, as opposed to the $300-something that you'll pay for the OG. So guys, I spent a lot of time with this fragrance, and every time I wear it, I like it more. This thing has great utility. It's not just your average great office scent. This is just a fresh pick-me-up type of vibe. It is invigorating. This is one of those fragrances that has ultimate utility, lasts all day, keeps you nice and fresh. You feel, hyped up and invigorated every time you spray it on, man. This is a great frag if you just want to get into that office for men wheelhouse, especially without paying that office for men price point. Definitely a banger in my opinion, and it's gonna get a lot of wear. Well, it's already gotten a lot of wear, but this is gonna get a lot of wear as we start to transition into that hot and heat of the summer here, because 1 or 2 sprays of this, you're gonna feel fresh all day, man. That's all I got for this fragrance right now. Have you put your nose on it? Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. And as we always say on this channel, man, whatever you do, however you're doing it, make sure you make today the best day ever on purpose. Peace out.